Blessed to be with you. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio from Bishop Kelly High School. Thanks to Cap Ed Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. Once again, we're joined by our friend Matt Walling. You know him, or maybe you don't, but he's a good young man, proud graduate of this institution. And Gonzaga, is that right?
Gonzaga, thank
Gonzaga.
you. Yes.
Yeah, see, east of the Great River.
Right.
Our pronunciation is the best. Matt Walling joining us, Mateo on 103.5 KISS FM.
Well done.
He's just a pleasure to have in our building, and I mean that. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm very proud of him and what he's about, and certainly speaks so highly of Bishop Kelly. We couldn't be here without him, so thank you for once again joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And Mary Crum joining us, career counselor and responsible for Mr. Walling. Thank you.
Well, I'll take a little bit of that. He did a lot on his own.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how people choose their paths and your role here at Bishop Kelly.
Sure. There are 4 of us in the counseling department, and we take an alphabetic division. Matt was in the day where there were 3 of us, and we had an alphabetic division that we keep through all 4 years, so we get to know those kids pretty well. And then,
is that normal for most high school counselors to have the kid for the whole 4 years, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty normal in this area
Right.
anyway, but I think our blessing is that our numbers are lower. So we have more of an opportunity to get out there and know the kids and watch them through all 4 years and see that development and help them along the way and kind of encourage them to develop their own skills. And then my position as a college and career counselor is new this year, so we see that as we've gotten a little bit bigger, we need a few more hands on deck to go out and work with the younger students so that we're helping them in all areas. It's not just the college prep. We do the social emotional counseling, friendship issues, help them choose their classes, those sorts of things. And so we work with them developing that whole student so that they hopefully feel prepared as they move on to school, not just academically, but they got the skills they need to be advocates for themselves and get help when they need it.
Sure.
I think Mrs. Crum, at least I can speak from experience, did fantastic
But
with
we
me.
would like you to speak.
Well, listen. Yeah, thank you, sir. Did a great job with me, and I'm sure she recalls I wanted to go to Gonzaga so bad. I was a waitlist kid at Gonzaga, and she worked with me on everything from my essay to reference letters to getting me connected with the admissions counselors there to flying up to doing an interview in person and all that, and eventually making that dream come true. And
why was that so special for you?
Lifelong dream, and you're at Bishop Kelly, and you're trying to juggle your activities and your academics and relationships and growing, and knowing that Mrs. Crum was down the hall at all times. Every now and then you get I think it was a green slip back in the day. It would come
green.
it's still green, and you could email her and say, hey, I'm having a rough day, and there were some days where I had some really rough days, and she invited me down, and it's a safe place. And it makes a world of a difference to know that there's somebody there.
Now, can you remember
I do.
14-year-old Matt Walling?
I do remember 14-year-old Matt Walling.
Why are dreams so important and being such a crucial part of that process to encourage folks like Matt and others to live their dreams and to try?
Well, because I guess if you squash those dreams when they're young, they quit dreaming. And how do they discover what it is they want to do? I mean, I don't think Matt, when he was 14, wanted to be sitting in the hall at BK interviewing me. But
that's a lifelong dream for me.
Know,
So.
Is it? You got to take them where
It's a
they
rough
are.
crowd here. Well, I would say this about Matt. I mean, here you have a young man who knew what he wanted and achieved that and really gives back to his community. He has so much to say about Bishop Kelly. But if you could go back to that experience of working with Mrs. Crum,
Right.
of that first draft to Gonzaga.
Right.
Is it Gonzaga? Gonzaga.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll never get it.
Zags, go Zags.
I'll just say to the Zags.
Right.
To the Zags. What was that like?
It was stressful because you want it so bad, but when you spent 4 years with the same counselor that doesn't just pull up your report and look at what you've done and she knows you.
Right.
She knew me. She knew my passions. She knew my story, my ups and downs. A lot of that stress is relieved because you know that you're in the best hands. You could say the same for Bishop Kelly, but when you kind of bring that down to a micro level, those are the relationships that you're able to build here as a student.
You would agree with that?
Well, it's really gratifying to hear. You give that a try. You never know what's going to happen after they walk out the door. A lot of kids will come back and talk to us about things, and we're not always perfect. We don't always get it right, but it's building that relationship that I think is critical for us. And in our department, we just really do try to get to know those kids and help them achieve those dreams they have.
What advice would you give parents listening all over the Treasure Valley or maybe on our KIDO Talk Radio app about encouraging young people to find out what they want to do? You know, some of us still don't know what we want to do.
And that's normal, and let them experiment. You know, try to let them steer their own boat for a while. It's tough as a parent. I was a parent, am a parent, and you want to make sure they don't have those bumps in the road and that everything goes smoothly for them in their life, but that's not the real world. And so let them experience those bumps, give them the support they need, help them have the tools that they need to make good decisions, and be with them through that process, but let them take ownership for that process.
Does that sound familiar?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's in a nutshell exactly what Bishop Kelly is. It's taking lessons and experiences and not defining them and saying this is how things are, this is how things should be, this is how things were. It's a matter of how do you feel about this and what are you going to do about it? How bad do you want it? What are you willing to do for that? How does this look to you? Critical thought, Socratic debate, all those things that Bishop Kelly encourages here. It's not, one teacher told me, I'll never forget, life in the gray is okay. You're able to navigate things as you go. Life is not always yes or no, black and white.
Well, it is during this show. Just kidding. Can you share with us the experience of being accepted, what that meant to you, and what that meant to Mrs. Crum?
I remember I'd actually already committed to the College of Idaho, and I was set on that, and I was going to be on the track team.
The track team?
Yes. I used to be a runner back in the day.
Sure.
And, being on a wait list at Gonzaga, I couldn't wait forever. And I'll never forget the day that I think you called me first, actually, and before the university reached out and said you had
wait a minute, she called you first.
I believe that she did, yeah.
I don't remember the specific details.
Right.
Just go with it.
I'm
Just go with it.
Okay, I called
And
them down, yeah.
essentially implied that things were looking good.
Call.
Right.
What went on in your mind when you got the phone call?
Well, I remember telling my mom, Mrs. Crum said things were looking good, and then not an hour later, the university called, and it was the admissions counselor, and he wanted to let me know before the mail got to my house that I'd been let in. And at that point, everything that I had committed to before was out the window. Loved the opportunity, the people at College of Idaho, but Gonzaga was my dream. And so it's a rush. It's like you win the lottery. You can't describe that feeling. And knowing that, I think for me, I had less than 2 months to prepare and be like, all right, I'm moving to Spokane. And that's how it went.
And you never doubted that?
I wouldn't say I never doubted it. There was a point where I kind of had to embrace that Gonzaga may not happen. But
once you were in?
Oh, once I was in, absolutely, yeah. I knew that was where I was supposed to go. And even, credit to Bishop Kelly for the admission counselors letting me know once I was there, we know what kind of students come out of Bishop Kelly. And for a major, credible university like Gonzaga to say that makes you feel pretty good.
How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel good. And, I know that there's other kids that Gonzaga dream doesn't happen. So we help them understand that just because that path A doesn't work doesn't mean path B or C or X isn't going to work down the road too. So don't give up. Keep trying. I know Matt would have made College of Idaho work. College of Idaho is a great school. He would have landed on his feet and still had that support system there too. So it's that whole life journey. You never know exactly where it's going to take you. You have your idea of where you want to be.
Yeah. That's very profound. Anything else you'd like to share with us today?
I'm not usually profound, so thanks. That's good to know.
Yes, I know that we already have the direction and correction last hour from our boss, Jeff the Soup. But that's why you're a counselor. You're giving us proper direction, so we appreciate that.
I think that pretty well sums up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Much more next from Bishop Kelly. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And KIDO Talk Radio. Once again, we're joined by our friend Todd Erickson from CapEd Credit Union with a very special guest who has a long history and long roots here at Bishop Kelly High School. And we are so proud again to thank CapEd Credit Union for having the ability to be here.
Well, thanks, Kevin. It's great to be here, and it's always fun to come to these schools and talk with you a little bit about about CapEd and about this great program that's going on. And I do have a special guest here today. Is Larry Neznansky, is our board chairman and a former teacher here at Bishop Kelly. And as we were waiting for us to come on, there's a lot of people that he was talking to, and we were talking about some of the old times when he was talking. But Larry's been very instrumental in helping us craft our educational agenda, especially around early childhood literacy. And so he's very passionate about that. And
so crucial in this state.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very crucial in the state, and there's a big need out there. And when a young person starts school, if they're a little bit behind in reading and not quite up to the standard, then it's hard for them to get caught up. And so it's a big awareness thing at this time, and something that we're involved in at CapEd.
Dr. Larry, what's it like to come back to Bishop Kelly? I mean, people are giving you hugs and having a good time. It's a very special atmosphere here, sir.
Well, it is, and I still have a lot of good acquaintances and friends here. And it's fun to come back. It's quite a bit different than when I retired in 2010 with the new science wing and a lot of different improvements in the school. But it's basically the same atmosphere, a good, solid, friendly atmosphere, which I have always enjoyed.
You know, speaking of the atmosphere, we had the teachers. They were 5, 6 in the morning playing basketball. Now we've got gym class going on. Can you speak to that atmosphere? Why is it so special here?
Well, I think it's just because we're all trying to do a good job educationally and make sure that we set a good example for our students also. Part of that is staying in good condition. That's why we have the sports and things. But it's just been a place where people reach out and are very friendly. And so it's a wonderful atmosphere, actually, to be associated with.
You know, Todd, as we were talking about the early childhood development and getting folks, the proper background and education, because once you fall behind, it's tough to catch up.
It really is, and it's you see it. There's programs out there that are geared towards getting kids ready for kindergarten, and we try to support those programs as much as we can. And we have partnerships with with the Lee Pesky Institute, P16 in the Caldwell School District, and the Association for the Education of Young Children. And so that's those are all programs that are trying to help with that problem. Kind of a message that we would like to give to your audience, I guess, is to really, for the young children in your life, take the time to read to them and take the time to get them interested in books and reading and learning. And that's probably the most effective way. The work that's done in somebody's home is the most effective and way that you can get a young child ready for kindergarten, ready for preschool. And
sure. Bring back the books.
Bring back the books. Yeah. Well, whatever it is.
Sure.
When I was a kid, I read a lot of sports books, and I
Right.
loved reading about football and basketball. But I learned to read through that just because I was interested in it. And whatever a kid's interested in, get a book in front of them and find out what they're interested in, and just have them start reading, and
Sure.
then help them with the words, help them craft the words, and then those words that you can't really sound out, that you just have to know. And an adult or an older sibling or a grandparent, if you can just really instill that in a young child, it makes a world of difference.
Dr. Larry, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I was going to add also that one of the critical things for these young kids is emotional intelligence, making sure that they know how to control themselves, they can make friends and know how to mitigate problems with other kids. When you talk to some of these teachers that are teaching at the kindergarten level or first grade, many of these kids don't know how to tie their shoes, things like that. Those things parents can easily take care of and allow the teacher to spend more time teaching what's really needed there and not so much time just with those very basic things.
When we take a look at Cap Ed and educators, Cap Ed, of course, founded by educators for education. The mission of Cap Ed, Dr. Larry?
Well, our mission is to provide and support quality education as well, and that includes education for financial being, to make sure that you're empowered financially, and also to be a very good community person, a place that a business that is definitely trying to support the community and be an integral part and a partner in doing good things in the community. That's really what Cap Ed is all about.
And Todd, we have a lot of examples, the Read and Rise program, the teacher grant programs, the school grant programs, the Camp Cash Ed, my personal favorite. When we have a lot of resources that really aid educators here in the Treasure Valley throughout the state.
Yeah, and that's all of those programs that we support are directly related back to our vision statement that was, as I mentioned earlier, was crafted and came up with by our board of directors. And so we're trying to be successful in fulfilling that vision statement. And so there's lots of programs out there that we support, and you know, we have the slogan, membership supports education. And make your money matter. It's more than banking. It's making a difference. And so when somebody comes to Cap Ed and becomes a member, they know that their support is going to help enrich the community in these different ways. One of the things that maybe I could mention real quick that's kind of a misnomer out there is who can join the credit union. We run into the situation a lot where somebody thinks, well, I love what Cap Ed does in the community, but I really can't join because I'm not a teacher or I'm not an educator, or I don't work for the school district, and that's not true. We're not a teacher's credit union. We used to be years and years ago, but now we're a credit union that supports education or supports the teachers in the classroom, and we're asking the community at large to come in and join with us, come in and be a member of Cap Ed, and your support helps us do, you know, the early childhood literacy or the teacher grants or the Camp Cash Eds of the world,
right,
where we have the resources that we can give back to the community.
Dr. Larry, you have a special BK story. I'm sure you have many that could you share with us this morning?
Well, I can think of a lot, but the one thing I enjoyed doing here was I filmed all the football games for Bishop Kelly for almost 20 years, and I only missed one game in all those years, and it was just a really fun thing to do, and I think it helped in the classroom also to be associated with the athletic programs and the great coaching staff that Bishop Kelly had and has now, and that was one of my favorite memories.
Dr. Larry, we appreciate it. I guess we'll have to come to Bishop Kelly more often to get you back out with us. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being on the air. It's fun.
Todd, anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, just, again, it was great to be here. And we, again, just want to encourage all the adults and in the lives of those young children to read to them and take the time to read, hopefully daily and as often as you can, and get those young kids interested in books, and it really makes a world of difference in their education.
Well, once again, we want to thank Cap Ed Credit Union for making this happen. We couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio.
Larry Gabbert.
And I'm Kevin Miller on 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
And once again, thanks, Cap-Ed Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. Let's go to the phones, and our great friend Joe Bell joining us on KIDO Talk Radio. Joe, good morning.
Kevin, how are you?
Living the dream here at Bishop Kelly, and you, sir?
Loving it. Great radio again this morning. We appreciate what you do, and love Cap-Ed and love Bishop Kelly.
Well, Joe, what do you got going on today? Usually it's just a Facebook message, but is some big event coming up?
Yeah, this is like the coolest thing to happen in the city of Nampa all year, and it's how our bicycle group celebrates Christmas. So we've got a night ride tomorrow night we start at Rolling H in downtown on 13th, and a couple of miles, and we're encouraging people to bring your bicycle and some Christmas lights. Helmets work if worn, and front headlight, of course, rear reflector, and we're going to go see some Christmas lights via bicycle.
Now, Joe, you're telling me you're riding your bikes at night?
Yeah, Kevin,
Well,
it's going to be a great time.
Well, as everybody knows, I'm a sissy, but let's be honest. I mean, okay, you have the lights and everything else, and how many years have you guys been doing this?
This is about a 7th year for us, and it's just an opportunity to get together as riders, and all riders are welcome. It's a family-friendly event. The route is just a couple of miles, and the best part about bicycling to see Christmas lights is your car window doesn't fog up, so you can see them clearly.
Well, I'd worry about the other cars.
Rules of the road apply, and you always have to be cautious and careful. But we hope, of course, for no issue. But we picked a route that is somewhat light in traffic, and for that reason.
Now, Joe, I don't mean to give you a hard time here, but it is late December to be riding bikes. Now, again, we encourage people to do this, but what are your thoughts on that? It'll be a little chilly. It's cold out there, but to be a part and to just come out and spend some time with, if you want to meet happy people, this is where you go. You meet happy people, and we're going to have some refreshment along the way, and just, it'll be a great time, Kevin. You're more than welcome. I have an extra bike if you want to ride. Well, it'd have to be a pretty big bike.
You know what? We can make something work. We can make it work.
Joe, one more time for this this outstanding bike ride tomorrow in Nampa.
Yeah.
What time and where?
Rolling H Cycles are on 13th South at Nampa between 1st and 2nd. Ride starts at 6:30. About 4 miles. Nothing too serious. Some great Christmas lights along the way. We're encouraging people to get a little holiday spirit, put some lights on your bike, and just come out and ride with us.
Joe, you take care. Thank you.
Kevin, have a great weekend, buddy. See you later.
Appreciate you. Bailey Cunningham joining us now. He's a senior here at Bishop Kelly. Bailey, good to meet you.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Matt Walling rejoining us once again, alumnus of Bishop Kelly High School. So
Yes.
He'll be backing us up on this. So tell us a little bit about student life here. How have you changed from a freshman to a senior?
Bishop Kelly is very community-driven. We're fortunate to have teachers here who not only do they make sure you learn the material, but they take an interest in you as individuals, and that just makes learning a lot more easier.
And that's a good thing. They
That's
take an interest in you.
Yeah, very good thing. It's not such a grind, It makes classes a lot more fun. And
Classes are fun.
they can be.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give us an example of what would a fun class be, sir?
Well, I've had teachers the past few years who, we'd come in after the weekend and they'd ask about your weekend, ask what you did,
Right.
And it's nice to be asked about
They
that.
they showed an interest.
Yeah.
Now, when we speak of community, can you give us an example of community projects, donations, work for folks within the community?
Yeah. One of the best things I think we have here at Bishop Kelly is the community service aspect. So we're required to do a certain amount of hours each semester, but
When you mean required, what donations? What does that mean, sir?
well, outside of school, you have to go do certain community service hours, but we do service learning days too. So you go with a certain class, and you just, for example, I I worked on the St. Mark's Church, the garden, with one of my classes, and it's just giving back to the community. That's just such a valuable lesson. You can
You had to like till and all that stuff.
well.
Shovel? I don't know.
Yeah,
It just sounds scary to me.
Well, it's fun. You have your class there. It's not really work, and it's just a valuable lesson. You can carry with you the rest of your life, giving
Right.
back. Yeah.
Everyone's looking at me.
It's your turn.
I think he did a good job of summarizing
Oh,
the.
do you have a question?
Do I have a question for him?
Yes.
What is it you think that sets?
I mean, you're on the other side. Let's ask a question.
Let's we were talking off the air about how you're applying to different colleges. You're figuring out, what it is you want to do. Have you felt something that made you feel like you were a little bit ahead of the curve, or something that Bishop Kelly prepared you for through that process, through moving forward?
Yeah, we're very blessed with great faculty here. For the most part, here it's not really if you're going to college, and it's where you're going to college.
Right.
And I think that's really cool. I don't know if a lot of places, can say that.
Yeah.
So I think we're very fortunate. We have a lot of guidance, and that's.
And he applied to Gonzaga, so
Yep.
zag up.
Would you like to put in a good word?
If he would like me to, I can do that.
What will be one of your fondest memories? Is it too soon to think about that?
I had the opportunity to go on a service trip to New Orleans last summer, and that was just awesome.
You guys are always selling the oranges or the tangerines. at
Yes,
the
we did.
parish, yes. Yeah, you guys always hit us up with that.
Did you buy any?
My wife did.
Good.
She supports Bishop Kelly.
Good.
Yes, but that's it's not like you sit there and you have to raise funds to make that happen to these trips.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's obvious.
Sorry, he threw me off with laughing about the oranges and the tangerines.
I forgot about
Right,
that, but I do recall.
But that's part of the process is that you'll go
Yeah.
to the Catholic churches, the parishes, and after every Mass, after every service, you guys will be out there in the cold collecting money for the oranges, the bananas, the tangerines, whatever you're doing, and that money applies to fund these trips.
Yeah, it was a week-long trip, and it's that all that work selling those oranges and stuff. It makes it all worth it.
Right. Tell me about New Orleans. What was that like for you? Very different.
Very different. Yeah.
Very humid. I don't know if it was humid.
Oh
over
yeah,
there.
just heavy. It was just a very different culture. We live in a much smaller town. New Orleans it was kind of scary. Had to step outside of my comfort zone, but yeah, it was cool.
Did that make you a better person, you think?
Oh yeah, I think so.
And what type of work were you doing in New Orleans?
We were rebuilding homes of hurricane victims down there, and it was just very rewarding work.
I was just going to say, what type of sense of humility did you get? I mean, here you have these folks, we all take it for granted that we
Yeah.
get home, the heat works, and all of a sudden you're in New Orleans, below sea level, from Idaho, a very different culture than here, and you're in these neighborhoods that have been devastated, and you're doing physical manual labor with these people that you don't even know. How did that mold you at all? What did you take away from that?
Yeah, it just puts things in perspective. How fortunate we are, and like I said, with the community service, it's so important to give back because we're so fortunate, and not everyone has that. So
Right.
yeah.
Where did you go?
I actually didn't do a service trip. I got to go to Spain.
But you sold some oranges.
I bought some oranges from a friend's family, but
Okay.
I got to go to Spain for a second language trip. But I think Bailey's story pretty much summarizes too. Earlier I was describing how I enjoyed in the classroom, and I'm sure you can attest to this, kind of the critical thought of everything. So, that's, there's a social injustice, and we're going to talk about it. That's great, but so what? What are we going to do about it? Not only does Bishop Kelly allow you to explore in the classroom through discussions of problem solving and finding the meaning to things, but they help you, or rather give you the opportunity to do something about it and to get your hands a little dirty. It's not, this sheltered, we're going to make a difference. We're actually making a difference as Knights.
Yep.
All right.
Couldn't agree more.
Anything else you'd like to share with us today, Bailey?
Before I go, I just want to give a shout out to my mom and dad. They pay the bills, so without them I wouldn't be here. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Love you.
I appreciate that. It's very nice. Why are you laughing?
I'm not
That's
laughing.
I'm a mama's boy.
He mentioned that earlier.
Thank you for disclosing that on the air as well as off the air. Okay, we continue on. Coming up next, Tea Party Bob. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. All right, let's go to the phones. Tea Party Bob joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tea Party Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Living the dream.
Sounds like you're having a good time down there with all of those students.
Well,
Bishop Kelly's great school.
Bishop Kelly and all our schools, we're just so proud. You know, somebody was asking, I think we've been to over 140 schools since we've been doing this, and that's amazing. And, you know, if there's a school that would like us to come in the spring, we would love to do it. And we understand sometimes that, you know, we're a little bit of a disruptive force, so we can't go to as many schools as we'd like, but we would sure love to go to as many as possible. And, you know, if you want us there, we would just reach out to me, Kevin at KIDOTalkRadio.com, and we'll be there. You know, because, you know, you don't hear the good news about education.
No, for all the criticism that we have about our educational system, I think you're doing one of the best things that we can do, and that's to show that there are things going on in the school system that are very beneficial, not just to our children, but also shows that we have teachers who really care about them.
Well,
I have a few words.
I'm sorry. Back to you.
I have a few words about Michael Cohen's diatribe about how he is corrupted. He was corrupted by President Trump. You know, this man is a man heading for the gallows, and he would say or do anything to save his sorry butt from 20 years in prison. Are we to believe a new, reformed, contrite Michael Cohen, or the Michael Cohen who stole over $1 million of taxpayers' money from the country? You know, I always say, once a liar, always a liar. You can't trust a man when he's trying to save his life. He'll say just about anything. You know, this has been a conspiracy from the get-go, and I just want to remind everyone, 268 congressmen, more than half of the House, have been involved in nefarious behavior with the opposite sex, and they use taxpayer money from a slush fund to solve these problems for a total of $17 million of our tax dollars. I'm not quite sure why the Democrats are on this stupid road to their own demise. If that list is ever released to the public, and I believe it should be, after all, we are entitled to know where the money is being spent. There's going to be a lot of very embarrassed people. And as far as new allegations about campaign spending and the accuracy about where the money is going, it's just another distraction to throw the public off track. They should be focusing on how we should be finding the $5 billion of our tax dollars instead of letting people like Cohen steal them from us to build a wall. Now, if they're going to look for contributions to this fund as a way that people could have garnered favors, political favors, then we need to start looking into the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons campaign, because if anyone was involved in pay for play, it was the Clintons. The Russian conspiracy is gone the way of the dodo bird, since they can't find any evidence, and now all they could come up with is payoffs to the happy hookers who are looking to extort money from a very wealthy man. As I said, this will be a very rocky 2 years until the 2020 election.
Did you say the happy hookers?
Yes.
Oh.
They must be happy. They got a lot of money. Would you
Well,
be happy if somebody gave you $100,000?
They weren't really. Well, it depends on what you have to do for it.
Exactly.
I don't think that they were ladies of the night, though. That's a little much, isn't it?
Did they accept money for sexual favors?
For not disclosing.
Right.
It wasn't the quid pro quo is, you know, in the issue of fairness, but everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, well, let's look
I don't know
at
if
it
I would
however
call
you
them
want to.
ladies of the night. I mean, one is adult entertainer and does appearances at certain adult clubs, which begs credibility. And then the other one appeared in an adult magazine.
Well, here's your credibility issue.
Some would call
Where
it
would
art.
you go with it?
I'd call
Excuse
it art.
me? Art?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the kind of art we really want to see.
Or
just
you
have artistic.
read one particular publication for the articles, is what I've heard.
You mean my publication or yours?
No, the one featuring the young ladies.
I don't read them, so it doesn't matter.
Duly
It's a little
noted.
bit perverse for me.
Right.
Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much for spending the time you do with the schools, and let's see if we can get this show on the road for next year when you get to a lot more of the schools. You still have many, many more to visit.
I'm just hoping, not to get the hook based on your controversial comments from Bishop Kelly. This is a family-friendly show.
Yes, indeed, and I am a very family-friendly man.
Fair enough.
Have a great day, my friend. Enjoy your weekend.
All right. Thank you very much. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio.
Evans, Eric Everett.
And Kevin Miller in the morning. Once again, I want to thank everybody from Miller's Mission that through your kindness and your generosity, you've helped feed and continue to feed Treasure Valley families. Now, coming up after the holidays, it's going to be January. It's going to be tough. We're going to continue to focus in on helping the Boise Rescue Mission. Incredible Idaho Shares 7 Cares event as well. And the giving continues. And a lot of people wonder where your donations, where your generosity goes to. Well, coming up today at the Cathedral of the Rockies, kids are going to have Christmas presents. People are going to get a warm meal and a meal box. And that has come from you. Now, I'm hearing myself in the background here, guys. I don't know what's going on. Okay, thank you. But back to this situation where you have the giving and that you have given so much. The Cathedral of the Rockies today, beginning at 11 o'clock, thanks to the Boise Rescue Mission, people that have donated as individuals, as corporate sponsors, kids are going to get toys. People are going to be fed. It begins at 11 o'clock. The public is welcome. I'll be there along with Mike Miniger, allegedly. And then on Saturday at the NNU Church, we invite you to join us there. We will be there. That's on the NNU campus, College Church, beginning, I believe, at 11. You can see a lot of people serving. But when we live in this cynical world, when we go, or goodness does prevail. And you have contributed to that. So thank you for contributing to Miller's Mission. Thank you for your donations. And thank you for those people that donate, either work for nonprofits or donate their time. You truly make a difference. Once again, joined by Matt Walling, joining us from KISS FM, 1035 KISS FM.
That's right.
Otherwise known as Mateo on the air. And when we speak of this community,
Right.
Idaho native, Canyon County guy,
Right.
your thoughts when you see the good works going on, good works that you on your station and in other parts of your life, you've participated in.
Right. I think that it's never a shock to see the good coming out of Bishop Kelly. I think it's an expectation that you learn when you come in that we're gonna be good citizens for the community, for one another, for our neighbor.
But from a broader sense, not just Bishop Kelly.
Right. Broader sense.
The community itself.
Well, I think it
The
thrives.
Treasure Valley.
Right.
When you see people like you were at 7 Cares.
Right.
You saw people donating. How did that impact you? And again, you've lived here your whole life.
Right. I just think that giving back and looking out for one another is a very Boise thing to do.
Treasure
It's-
Valley thing to do.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Because you were in Meridian, right?
I was in Meridian, yes,
Right.
physically.
Right.
But the Treasure Valley, it's something that it kind of is ingrained in you, and I think we've been blessed that even people that have come into our community from outside have kind of adapted to that. The good feeling in our area never seems to.
Right, but you've known
Dwindle.
that your whole life. It's
Right.
always been like that here.
Right, it has.
Most of us have traveled from other places.
Right.
We learn the culture, the host country sensitivities. So unusual in a good way that people give.
And I think that it's a challenge for us to make sure that continues.
And how are you doing that? How are you helping?
Well, listen, you can lead by example.
And you're doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay, but at KIDO Talk Radio. But I think that's the message. And for those of you that are struggling, you've struggled. What would you say is a message of encouragement?
I think that
That God loves you, that people love you, and that you can make a difference.
Right.
Just as we've heard, and I want to thank you for sharing. I want to thank you for sharing your story. People do make a difference, and you're making a difference. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Ramiah, great job. Chandler, great job. Joel, well, the book's still out on you. Good day. God bless. Keep the faith.